I always thought XRP was going to be Swift's chosen one in the banking world. But what if I told you another crypto quietly stole that spotlight whilst nobody was actually looking? So, get this. I'm scrolling through crypto Twitter and see someone claim that Chainlink, not XRP, is basically doing what XRP was supposed to do with the banks. Now, you know Chainlink, right? The Oracle coin, and XRP, the one that people call the banker's coin. Now, as kind of people, at least as someone who kind of actually holds both XRP and Chainlink, I did a bit of a double take here. I'm like, wait, did I bet on the wrong horse? Or maybe the right two horses? I had to investigate, and oh man, it turns out into a wild little adventure. By the end of this video, we might just find out that this isn't as simple as Chainlink versus XRP duel at all. There's a little twist that I honestly didn't see coming. Here's a hint. They might end up working together in a way that nobody expected. Are you intrigued? Well, let's dive in. I promise to kind of keep it neutral and real because, hey, my bags don't have a favorite here. All right. Here's some quick background for the kind of uninitiated then. Swift, not the kind of Taylor kind, of course, the banking kind, is the global messaging network that banks use to send each other payments, at least payment instructions. It's kind of been around since the 1970s, which means that it's older than the internet, and here's a fun fact, it isn't very swift, right? If you've ever done an international wire transfer that took 3 to 5 days, that was probably Swift in action. It's secure and reliable, but it's slow and kind of old-fashioned. Now, enter crypto. For years, people in the XRP community, the XRP army, have been saying, yo, XRP is going to replace Swift, or at least work alongside it. The idea was that XRP's tech, the XRP ledger or XRPL, can move money across borders in seconds, super cheap, so why do we even need this clunky Swift system, right? Well, that's been a huge part of the XRP narrative, that Ripple, the company, could and would potentially partner with banks, and maybe one day XRP would be the bridge currency for the world. Big dreams, big hype. Now, on the flip side, we have Chainlink. And if you're not too familiar, Chainlink sort of rose to fame by doing something different, connecting blockchains to real-world data. Kind of like if a smart contract needs to know the price of Ethereum in USD, Chainlink's decentralized oracles provide that. It basically acts as a bridge between the on-chain world and the off-chain information. It's not exactly direct competitor to XRP at first glance, right? Totally different use case, right? XRP equals payments, Chainlink equals data oracle, apples and oranges, or so I thought. But recently, Chainlink has expanded its mission. They introduced something called CCIP. This is Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol, which is a fancy way of saying that a universal adapter for blockchains, right? And apparently, Swift has been working with Chainlink on this. And if your reaction is, huh, Swift and Chainlink are buddies? Then you're not alone. I was surprised too. Now, this wasn't a secret kind of per se, but it's not common knowledge to the average crypto holder either. Meanwhile, a lot of XRP holders were still thinking that Ripple's tech would be the go-to solution for banks connecting to crypto. So, the stage is now set. On one side, a belief that XRP will revolutionize banking, and on the other, Chainlink quietly forging links with the legacy finance world. Enter Zach, a prominent Chainlink advocate. Now, we're talking about one of the biggest voices in the Chainlink community. Now, Zach comes out with some pretty bold claims, right? Chainlink holds a stronger position than XRP when it comes to working with Swift. A bit of a mic drop moment then, right? For crypto Twitter anyway. He basically said, hey, XRP army, I know you'll think XRP is going to either complement or replace SWIFT. But sorry, that's not reality. Now, according to Zach, SWIFT is already using Chainlink and not really waiting around for XRP, and he had some receipts. He pointed out that SWIFT is working with Chainlink to connect over at least 11,000 banks to blockchain right now. 11,000 banks. That's like essentially at least the whole of SWIFT's network, right? Now, when I saw that, I was like, is this for real? Because that sounds massive, right? But it actually does check out. There have been pilot programs and tests linking SWIFT to blockchain via Chainlink's tech. Now, Zach was basically challenging a core talking point of the XRP community. Many XRP proponents have long expected that banks would use XRP or RippleNet or Ripple Payments or ODL, whatever they call it these days, to speed up transfers, or that XRP would be used to settle things even if SWIFT handles messaging. Zach says that the reality is rather different, that SWIFT isn't being replaced by XRP. Instead, SWIFT is teaming up with Chainlink to modernize itself. Now, when he said this, you can imagine it kind of stirred the pot quite a bit, right? Tribalism is huge in crypto if you're not aware. So some XRP people took offense. Like, here we go, another attack on XRP. And one XRP proponent responded with, I'm paraphrasing, right? But these kinds of comments from other crypto communities always happen because XRP is on the brink of something big, right? Everyone's talking about XRP, which shows how important it is. So they try to throw shade. Essentially, they dismissed Zach's claim as just another round of FUD or a jealous jab at XRP. Now, this person believed that the only reason Chainlink fans were chirping was that XRP was about to break through and that all of the attention on XRP would only prove its significance. But Zach didn't leave it there. He came back to clarify, his stance here. And here is where it gets even spicier. Now, he basically said, look, I'm not attacking XRP out of some kind of tribal spite. I just genuinely think Chainlink should be valued higher than XRP given the facts. And then he hit with kind of market cap comparisons. XRP's market cap is around $188 billion, while Chainlink's is around $14 billion. It's a pretty huge gap. Now, Zach argues that this difference is rather crazy because Chainlink has accomplished much of what XRP was supposed to deliver in terms of working with big financial institutions. Yet XRP's valuation is way higher. So in other words, he's implying that XRP might be overvalued, or at least that Chainlink is undervalued given the real-world traction each has. Now, hearing that, I had to check myself a little bit. Now, as an investor, when someone basically says X asset should be worth more than Y asset, you kind of get tempted to start rebalancing your portfolio, or at least, questioning it and its kind of composure. But hold up here, because here is where I remind both you and myself of something rather important. And this one might just shock you guys, right? But I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always consult a financial advisor. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Seriously, right? We are talking, about what one guy thinks versus another in crypto. It's interesting, it's noteworthy, but it is not gospel, right? So don't go FOMOing into one or the other out of something just because, of this little debate that we're talking about. Okay, you got it? All right, so that's the disclaimer, it's done. Let's get back to all of the drama, right? So Zach kind of pulls up the valuation card then, right? Now, we've basically got two sides of a coin. One side says XRP is being attacked because it's about to moon and everyone is kind of scared of it, right? The other side, Zach, says, nah, I'm just pointing out facts. Chainlink is delivering and isn't being valued like XRP is, right? Who to believe here? Maybe neither, blindly. So let's keep on digging, right? And this is when things get more interesting. Just around this time, another voice jumps in. This is Dom, the co-founder of an education platform called EasyA. Now, he's known in the crypto space and well known in the crypto space, I should say. And interestingly, he's actually coming from more of a kind of builder's perspective here. Now, he was replying to a general comment by a crypto influencer who kind of quipped something like Chainlink is what Ripple would be if it actually worked. Now, Dom obviously clapped back here, basically saying, hold on, I've seen Ripple's tech working in real life, but I've never seen Chainlink's tech in action or met developers actively building with Chainlink. And whoa. So Dom is a kind of bringing a perspective from the trenches then. He's basically saying that he's personally witnessed projects or use cases where Ripple stuff is being used successfully. But in contrast, he hasn't encountered comparable real-world usage of Chainlink, or at least not among the developers that he has met. Now, this was an interesting counterpoint. Essentially, Chainlink has big partners, right? Big partnerships. But is anyone actually using it, right? Because at least using it live, right? Because I've seen Ripple's tech being used, and if true, Dom's perspective could mean that Ripple's further along in actual development, whereas Chainlink stuff might still be in trial phases or behind closed doors. So at this point, I'm rubbing my kind of temples because it feels like listening to two friends argue about whose favourite sports team is better, throwing out the stats and the anecdotes. One's like, my team won the championship 3 years ago, and the other is like, yeah, but your stadium is empty, no fans. Time for a reality check. So I decided to actually look at what has been happening between Chainlink and Swift, because if Chainlink really has connected 11,000 banks to blockchains, that is huge, and I need to understand how. So I did some digging into the history of Chainlink Swift's partnership, and let me tell you, it is real and it's pretty impressive. So let's rewind to 2016. Chainlink wasn't even a household name in crypto yet, but apparently Swift and Chainlink started experimenting back then. It was slow going initially, but things ramped up big time in the last few years. Fast forward to 2022. In November of that year, at Chainlink's big conference, SmartCon, they actually made a splashy announcement. Swift and Chainlink have built proof of concept together. Using Chainlink's CCIP, they showed that Swift's standard messaging, those kind of secure bank-to-bank text messages, could trigger actions on multiple different blockchains. In plain terms, Swift could send its normal message and Chainlink could and would translate it into something that a blockchain understands, so that the payment could happen on-chain. Then 2023 came. By May of 2023, this wasn't just a theory. They did tests with some pretty heavy hitters. BNP, and BNY Mellon, in fact, were involved in experiments where tokenized assets were moved across chains using this Swift Chainlink setup. And it worked. Roll into 2024. In May of the Consensus Conference in Austin, Swift, head of security strategy, sat down with Chainlink's co-founder and they talked on stage about unlocking tokenized assets at scale. Tokenized assets are things like stocks, bonds, real estate, whatever, represented on blockchains, right? Now, the context here is quite big. Big financial players are tokenizing assets, but these tokens often live on siloed blockchains. So if Swift can help move them using its messaging or existing kind of network, I guess, then that's kind of like bringing trillions of dollars of assets into the blockchain world seamlessly. And Chainlink is the glue making it all happen. Now later in 2024, around November, they hit more milestones, right? Swift, Chainlink, and even UBS Asset Management completed a pilot to settle tokenized fund transfers. Then Sergey, Chainlink's founder, announced that they could convert actual Swift transaction messages directly into blockchain events. Now that means that if a bank sends a Swift message saying transfer $100 million from Bank A to Bank B, Chainlink system can take that and automatically generate a blockchain transaction event. For example, moving a tokenized $100 million or a CBDC on a blockchain, though this includes handling CBDCs and other tokenized money. Now, let me kind of translate this into kind of everyday language, right? It's kind of like Swift and Chainlink built an adapter. The old system, Swift, plugs into the adapter. The new system, various blockchains, right? They plug into the adapter and boom, now they can talk to each other. This is a pretty big deal. It essentially future-proofs Swift. Instead of being replaced by a blockchain, Swift is actually upgrading itself, with blockchain help, right? And the helper of choice here is clearly Chainlink. So, Zach wasn't kidding. Swift and Chainlink are quite intertwined in this project. It puts Chainlink in a pretty powerful position then. They're kind of like the tech provider for the biggest plumbing system in global finance. Now, I know, I get it, right? You might be thinking to yourselves, okay, so where does this leave XRP then? Is XRP just left out? And well, let's kind of examine that, right? Because despite Chainlink's amazing progress with Swift, this does not automatically push XRP out of the picture. Why? Because Chainlink and XRP actually serve different functions. Chainlink is handling connectivity, messaging, data. It's not a currency or a settlement asset. On the other hand, XRP is built for settlement, moving value quickly, cheaply across borders. So think of it this way. Chainlink sets up the connection between Bank A, private blockchain, and Bank B's public blockchain. But what are they using, I should say, to actually transfer the value, right? They still need either a digital currency or a token to send. Now, it could be tokenized fiat, a CBDC, a stablecoin, or a cryptocurrency like XRP acting as a bridge. Now, XRP's advantage is that it's super fast. It's designed for payments, plus Ripple has built liquidity tools all around it. Now, one scenario, just imagine a bank in country A wants, at least to send money to a bank in country B, right? But their currencies are different. Now, with Swift plus Chainlink, they can establish the communication and tokenized representations. Now, they could use XRP as a bridge currency, right? Bank A, money converts to XRP, zips it over the XRPL in 3 seconds, and converts it to Bank B's local currency. All of that could be coordinated through Chainlink's messaging. In fact, Zach himself said any blockchain could be used which includes the XRPL. He just doesn't believe XRP is necessarily, necessary for Swift's plans. Now, here is something super interesting as well. Swift using Chainlink can facilitate adoption of the XRPL, because now if a bank wanted to settle through XRP, well, Chainlink already has laid the groundwork to plug the XRPL into the network. We even have collaborations between Ripple and Chainlink, right? Ripple launched a stablecoin called RLUSD and partnered with Chainlink to provide pricing data for it. Ripple is literally a Chainlink user now. It shows that these projects can complement each other. So far, we've kind of gone, at least from being with one killing the other to actually seeing a future where Chainlink and XRP work in tandem then, right? Chainlink handles the pipes and the wires, and XRP flows through as the liquidity and the settlement token when needed then, right? If anything, Chainlink versus XRP debate might be a bit overblown. And yes, Zach has a point. Chainlink's making big moves with big players. And yes, maybe XRP's price and hype ran far ahead of maybe its real world adoption for a little while. But XRP's story isn't finished. It might not replace Swift, but it could slide into a complementary role thanks to the groundwork that Chainlink is laying. Now, when I first read the headline, I guess it was like everyone else. Chainlink, not XRP, is better positioned to work with kind of Swift. I kind of felt a little bit of pang, right? Like, oh no, is XRP doomed? But after researching it all, I'm oddly actually at peace with it. I actually feel good about owning both Chainlink and XRP, right? Chainlink's efforts might boost the entire crypto integration into banking, and XRP could ride that wave. With that said though, on crypto Twitter, I doubt the XRP army and the Link Marines will be singing, hallelujah anytime soon, right? But behind the scenes, right, I think that you're going to have Ripple working with Chainlink, Swift working with Chainlink, and Ripple working with Swift. It's kind of a tangled web of cooperation across the board, right? Now for me, the takeaway is not to get too tribal with all of this. Sometimes it's not a cage match at all. It's just an assembled kind of cast, right? Chainlink might be kind of grabbing the spotlight for now, but XRP might still play the hero for settlement in some scenarios. So circling back, Zach said Chainlink is better positioned with Swift than XRP is. And he's basically right, as of today. That's a huge achievement, but it doesn't mean that XRP is worthless or done for, right? It's not. XRP and the XRPL still do something super valuable. They move money fast and cheap. Chainlink's success doesn't crush that. It could actually enable it. So, as someone who's been cheering for both projects here, I'm honestly happy to see this progress. It's also like watching two of my favorite investments kind of shake hands and say, let's win this together. So, what do you think? Are you team XRP or team Chainlink? Or do you like both, just like I do? And if you've enjoyed this deep dive, discussions like this one, then you should probably join our free educational Discord server. The link, of course, is in the description down below. It's basically a hangout for curious minds, where we all kind of nerd out about crypto news and share all of the research. All skills levels, of course, are welcome. Now also, if you're looking for a solid exchange to maybe trade on or accumulate crypto, I personally use Kraken. Now I've been a great experience with their platform. I have an affiliate link for Kraken Pro, which is in the description down below. If you use it, it supports the channel here at no extra cost to yourself, but just a heads up that it is an affiliate link. All right, so that's it for today's kind of adventure. And if you found this video informative or maybe even entertaining, why don't you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and maybe tap the notification bell so that you don't miss the next story. I've got plenty more crypto adventures to share with you guys, and I'd love you all to join me on this ride. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.